The notification pinged on my phone just as I was biting into my turkey sandwich. Another one of Madison's Instagram posts, probably another selfie with some inspirational quote about living your best life or manifesting abundance. My wife had become quite the social media influencer over the past year, racking up followers with her lifestyle content and motivational messages. I'm Eric Lawton, 39 years old, logistics manager at Hartwell Supply Company. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps our suburban house in Millbrook running. I've got a dry sense of humor that most people don't appreciate, and I'm the kind of guy who notices details others miss. Comes in handy in my line of work, tracking shipments and managing supply chains. But this post was different. The image showed Madison in our bedroom, perfectly made up even though it was barely noon, with that practiced influencer smile. The caption made froze. Ladies, remember, men are replaceable, money isn't. Know your worth and never settle for less than you deserve. Boss lady, know your worth, single life. Single life? I nearly choked on my sandwich. We'd been married for 8 years. Had rough patches, sure, but I thought we were working through them. The comments were already pouring in from her followers and our mutual friends. You go, girl. About time. Finally ditching the heavy weight? Eric never deserved you anyway. That last one was from her sister Jennifer. Always knew she hated me. My phone buzzed with text messages from co-workers who followed Madison's account. My buddy Darren from accounting sent a simple, "Dude, what the hell?" I sat there in the break room, watching the likes and comments multiply. Neighbors, friends, even my own mother had liked the post. My personal business was being aired out for the entire city to see, and I was apparently the last to know about my own marital status. The rational part of my brain told me to call Madison, to ask what was going on. Maybe it was some kind of mistake or misunderstanding. But the comments kept coming, and they painted a pretty clear picture. Our friends weren't surprised. They were congratulating her. Finally, wrote our neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, we've been waiting for you to dump him. That's when it clicked. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned, coordinated. Madison had been talking to people, building her case, making sure she had support before going public. I was being systematically humiliated in front of everyone I knew. I scrolled through more comments, my sandwich forgotten. Trevor Daniels, who owned the CrossFit gym downtown, had written, "Your passenger seat's been empty too long. Time to find someone who appreciates the ride." Passenger seat? That was oddly specific and intimate. Trevor was one of those guys who thought owning a gym made him some kind of alpha male. 40 years old, still acting like he was in college, always posting shirtless selfies and motivational quotes about grinding and crushing it. Madison had started going to his gym about 6 months ago, claiming she needed to get back in shape. I pulled up Trevor's Instagram. Sure enough, there were several photos of him and Madison together at fitness events and networking meetups. In one photo from just last week, she was sitting in the passenger seat of his black BMW, both of them grinning at the camera. The caption read, "Success attracts success. Surround yourself with winners." My hands were shaking as I typed my response to Madison's post. Exactly right, honey, and I replaced you already. Thanks for making it easy. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. The reaction was immediate. My phone exploded with notifications. Madison tried calling within 30 seconds, but I declined the call. Then came the angry texts. "What the hell is wrong with you? Delete that right now. We need to talk." But I was done talking. I'd been the fool, the last to know, the butt of everyone's joke. Time to change that dynamic. I opened my banking app and transferred our entire vacation fund, $12,000 we'd been saving for a trip to Europe, into my personal account. Then I called Peterson Motors downtown. "Hey, this is Eric Lawton. That red Mustang convertible you showed me last month? I'll take it. Can you have it ready by 5? Absolutely, Mr. Lawton. Cash or financing? Cash. By the time I got back to my desk, Madison's post had over 200 comments. But the tide was turning. People were asking questions about my response. Some were taking my side, wondering if there was more to the story. My boss, Mr. Beck, stopped by my cubicle. He was old school, 55 years old, and appreciated straight talk. "Everything all right at home, Eric?" "Just some spring cleaning, sir. Getting rid of things I don't need anymore." He nodded approvingly. "Sometimes that's necessary. Carry on." The rest of the afternoon crawled by. Madison called 6 more times. Jennifer called twice. Even my mother called, confused by the social media drama. I ignored them all. At 5 o'clock sharp, I drove my new Mustang home. It was beautiful, cherry red with black leather interior, V8 engine that purred like a contented cat. I'd always wanted one, but Madison had insisted we needed to be practical and responsible. I pulled into our driveway just as Madison was getting out of her Honda Civic. She looked furious, her perfectly styled hair slightly disheveled, her makeup showing stress cracks. "Eric, what is this?" She gestured at the Mustang. "Transportation," I said, getting out and admiring my new ride. "Like it? Where did you get the money for this?" "Our vacation fund. Well, my vacation fund now." Her face went white. "You can't do that, that's our money." "Was our money, but since you're single now, according to Instagram, I figured you wouldn't need it." That's when I noticed we had an audience. Mrs. Henderson was watering her garden but clearly listening. The Johnsons from across the street were walking their dog very slowly past our house. Even old Mr. Martinez had found a reason to check his mailbox. Madison noticed, too. She lowered her voice, trying to maintain her composure. "We need to talk. Inside. Now." "Actually, I don't think we do." I leaned against the Mustang, enjoying the way the afternoon sun made the paint gleam. "You said everything that needed saying on Instagram. Very public, very clear. I'm just following your lead. That wasn't... I didn't mean... Oh, but you did mean it. The comments make that pretty clear. Apparently, everyone's been waiting for you to dump me. Even Trevor seems excited about your newly available passenger seat." She flinched at Trevor's name. "Guilty as charged. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. But here's the thing, Madison. I'm not going to be the pathetic husband who begs and pleads while you humiliate me online. You want to play games? Let's play." I got back in the Mustang and revved the engine. The sound was magnificent, pure American muscle echoing off the houses. "By the way," I called out the window, "the passenger seat is off limits. This ride's just for one." As I pulled out of the driveway, I could see Madison standing there, her mouth open, our neighbors watching with undisguised interest. My phone was buzzing with notifications, but I ignored it. The game had begun, and I intended to win. The next morning, I woke up in the guest bedroom of my own house. Madison had locked the master bedroom door, and honestly, I didn't care enough to fight about it. I had bigger plans brewing. Over coffee, I scrolled through the social media aftermath. Madison had posted a follow-up message late last night. Sometimes emotions run high and people say things they don't mean. Working through some personal challenges. Thank you for your support. Damage control. But the internet doesn't forget, and screenshots are forever. Her original post was already circulating on neighborhood Facebook groups and local gossip sites. The comments on her damage control post were mixed, some supportive, others skeptical. Trevor had posted a gym selfie with the caption, "When life gets complicated, the gym keeps it simple. Iron doesn't lie." Several people had tagged Madison in the comments, asking if she was okay. I had a plan, but I needed help. Professional help. At lunch, I drove to a small office building downtown and climbed to the second floor. The door read, "Krantz Investigations, Marcia Krantz, licensed private investigator." Marcia was about 50, with graying hair and the no-nonsense attitude of someone who'd seen it all. Her office was sparse but professional, a desk, 2 chairs, filing cabinets, and a coffee maker that had seen better days. "Mr. Lawton?" You called about a domestic situation? My wife is having an affair. I need proof. Divorce case? Public humiliation case. She decided to announce our marital problems on social media. Turn me into a laughingstock. I want to return the favor. Marcia leaned back in her chair, studying me. Revenge isn't really my business, Mr. Lawton. I gather evidence. What people do with it is their choice. That's all I'm asking for. Evidence. What they've been doing, where they've been doing it, how long it's been going on. Who's the other party? Trevor Daniels, owns CrossFit downtown. I know the place. Lot of married women suddenly discovering fitness. She quoted a price that made me wince, but I nodded. Half up front, half when I deliver. And Mr. Lawton, whatever you're planning, make sure it's legal. I don't want my work used for anything that'll get you arrested. Nothing illegal, just evening the playing field. That evening, Madison tried to corner me in the kitchen. She'd clearly spent the day strategizing, probably with Jennifer and her other supporters. Eric, we need to discuss this situation like adults. I thought we already had that discussion. On Instagram. In front of 3,000 followers. I was angry. You've been distant lately, working late, not communicating. I felt neglected. So you decided to humiliate me publicly before even trying to work things out? It wasn't supposed to be about you specifically. It was about empowerment, about women knowing their worth. By calling me replaceable, by letting our friends and neighbors mock me in the comments, she had the grace to look slightly ashamed. Some of the comments got out of hand. Finally ditching the dead weight got out of hand. Eric never deserved you anyway, was just friendly banter. People were just being supportive. Of you. At my expense. In public. Madison sat down at the kitchen table, trying a different approach. Look, maybe we both made mistakes. Maybe we can work through this. Maybe. But first, I think we need some space. You've made it clear how you feel about our marriage. I'm just giving you what you want. I don't want a divorce, Eric. I want us to fix this. Then you probably shouldn't have announced to the world that men are replaceable. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw your wife's post. She's been hanging around the gym a lot lately with Trevor. Thought you should know. A friend I showed Madison the text. Her face went pale. I don't know who sent that. But you know what they're talking about. Silence. How long, Madison? It's not what you think. How long have you been sleeping with Trevor? It's not. How long? She broke. 3 months. But it's not serious. It just happened. We were working on a fitness collaboration for my Instagram, and things got complicated. 3 months. While I was working late to pay for her lifestyle, she was playing house with the gym owner. A fitness collaboration? Is that what we're calling it? Don't be crude. I'm not being crude. I'm being accurate. You've been cheating on me for 3 months, then decided to humiliate me on social media instead of just asking for a divorce. I didn't want a divorce. I still don't. You just wanted to have your cake and eat it too. Keep the stable husband at home while you play with your gym boyfriend. Madison started crying, but they felt like strategic tears. It was a mistake. I'll end it with Trevor. We can go to counseling. Too late for that. You made this public, Madison. You involved our friends, our neighbors, our families. You can't just take it back now. I stood up to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Please, Eric. Don't do anything stupid. Don't make this worse than it already is. Worse? You mean worse than being publicly humiliated by my own wife? Worse than finding out my marriage was a joke to everyone but me? I'm trying to fix this. No, you're trying to control the damage. There's a difference. I pulled free and headed for the door. Where are you going? Out. Don't wait up. I drove the Mustang around the city for an hour, thinking. Madison was scared now, realizing she'd overplayed her hand. But the damage was done. Everyone knew. Everyone had seen her post, seen the comments, seen my response. My phone rang. Darren from work. "Dude, are you okay?" This is all over Facebook. "I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Madison's sister is posting some pretty harsh stuff about you, saying you're being vindictive and cruel. Jennifer never liked me anyway. What's she saying? That you're financially abusing Madison by taking the vacation money, that you're having some kind of breakdown, that people should be concerned about your mental state." The counterattack had begun. Madison and her support network were trying to flip the narrative, make me the villain. "Screenshot everything," I told Darren. "I want to see exactly what they're saying." "Already on it." "But Eric? Be careful. This is getting ugly fast." He was right, but ugly was exactly what I was counting on. By Friday morning, the social media war was in full swing. Jennifer had posted a long rant about toxic masculinity and financial abuse, painting me as a controlling husband who couldn't handle his wife's success. Several of Madison's friends had shared it, adding their own commentary about my obvious mental health issues. But I had allies, too. Darren had been busy in the comments, politely asking why no one seemed concerned about a wife publicly humiliating her husband. My sister Lisa, who lived 2 hours away in Columbus, had driven down Thursday night after seeing the drama unfold online. "You look like hell," she said over breakfast at Denny's. "Thanks. You always know just what to say." Lisa was 3 years older than me, divorced herself, and had zero patience for relationship drama. She'd met Madison exactly twice and hadn't been impressed either time. "So, what's the plan? Besides buying a midlife crisis car?" "It's not a midlife crisis car. It's a statement." "Statement of what?" "That I'm done being the boring, predictable husband who gets walked all over." "By humiliating your wife on social media?" "She humiliated herself. I just responded." Lisa stirred her coffee thoughtfully. "You know this is going to get worse before it gets better, right? Madison's not going to just accept this quietly. I'm counting on it." "What does that mean?" I showed her the screenshots Darren had sent. Jennifer's posts, Madison's friends rallying around her, the narrative being constructed about my abusive behavior. They're trying to make me the bad guy. But they're forgetting something important. Which is, I know things they don't know I know. My phone rang. Marcia Krantz. "Mr. Lawton? I have some preliminary findings. Can you meet me this afternoon?" "Absolutely." After breakfast, Lisa followed me back to the house in her car. Madison was in the living room, laptop open, clearly working on her social media response strategy. She looked up when we walked in. "Lisa, I didn't know you were coming." "Emergency visit. Heard my brother was having a breakdown." Madison had the grace to look embarrassed. "I never said that." "No, but your sister did, along with some interesting theories about Eric's mental health." Jennifer was just being protective. Of you, not of her brother-in-law of 8 years. I left them to their uncomfortable conversation and went upstairs to shower and change. I had a meeting with my private investigator, and I wanted to look professional. Marcia's office felt different this time, more serious. She had a manila folder on her desk and a grim expression. "Your instincts were right, Mr. Lawton. This affair has been going on for at least 4 months, not 3 like your wife claimed." She opened the folder and spread out photographs. Madison and Trevor at restaurants, holding hands across tables. Madison leaving Trevor's apartment building early in the morning. Trevor's BMW parked in our driveway during work hours when I was at the office. "They've been careless," Marcia continued, "acting like a couple in public, not trying very hard to hide it. I've got dates, times, locations. Your wife has been spending your money on hotels, dinners, gifts for him." The evidence was overwhelming. Credit card statements showing charges at romantic restaurants on days Madison claimed to be at the gym. Hotel receipts from afternoons when she said she was shopping with friends. even receipts from a jewelry store. She'd bought Trevor a watch for his birthday last month. "There's more," Marcia said. "I've been monitoring their social media activity. They've been communicating through Instagram direct messages, thinking it was private. Trevor's been bragging to his gym buddies about his married girlfriend who's going to leave her husband soon." She handed me printed screenshots of conversations that made my stomach turn. Madison talking about how boring and predictable I was. Trevor making crude comments about our intimate life, or lack thereof. Plans for trips they wanted to take together once Madison got rid of the dead weight. They were planning this whole social media thing, I realized, reading through the messages. The Instagram post wasn't impulsive. They thought if Madison publicly humiliated me, I'd just quietly agree to a divorce and go away. Looks that way. Trevor's been encouraging her to make the break for weeks. I studied the evidence, feeling a cold anger settle in my chest. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated campaign to destroy my reputation and push me out of my own life. "What do you want to do with this information?" Marcia asked. "I want to return the favor." That evening, I sat in my home office, planning my next move. Madison was downstairs, probably crafting her next social media post about healing and forgiveness and working through challenges. But I had something better than inspirational quotes. I had the truth. I created a simple photo collage: Madison and Trevor at dinner, holding hands, Madison leaving his apartment, Trevor's BMW in our driveway. I added a caption: "For those asking about my mental health and breakdown, here's what a breakdown actually looks like. 4 months of lies, cheating, and planning to humiliate your spouse on social media. The passenger seat was never empty, just occupied by someone else." I scheduled the post to go live at 8 p.m. when social media engagement was highest. Then I called Lisa. "It's about to get interesting. You might want to stay another day." "What did you do?" Told the truth. Novel concept, I know. At exactly 8 p.m., my post went live. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Within minutes, there were dozens of comments, shares, and reactions. The photos were clear, undeniable evidence of the affair. Madison's phone started ringing upstairs. Then mine started ringing. Then the house phone. "Eric!" Madison came running downstairs, her face pale. "Take it down. Take it down right now." "Why?" "It's just the truth. I thought you believed in authenticity and being real with your followers. This is different. This is private." So was our marriage, but that didn't stop you from making it public. The comments on my post were brutal. People who had supported Madison just days earlier were now calling her a hypocrite and a cheater. The narrative had flipped completely. Trevor had tried to post his own response, claiming the photos were taken out of context, but it was too little, too late. The evidence was overwhelming. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You just made a big mistake, asshole." "This isn't over." I showed the text to Madison. "Your boyfriend doesn't seem happy." She was crying now, real tears this time. "You've destroyed everything. My reputation, my business, my relationships. I didn't destroy anything. I just showed people what was already there. No one will ever trust me again. Maybe you should have thought of that before you decided to cheat on your husband and humiliate him online." Madison looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "I don't know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. You just never bothered to notice that still waters run deep." My phone rang again. This time it was Trevor, calling directly. I answered on speakerphone. Trevor's voice filled the kitchen. "You think you're so smart? Smart enough to hire a private investigator. Smart enough to document everything. Smart enough not to underestimate the boring, replaceable husband. This isn't over. Actually, it is. Your reputation is shot, your business is about to suffer, and everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. The kind who helps married women cheat on their husbands, then encourages them to humiliate their spouses publicly. You don't know who you're messing with." "Sure I do. a 40-year-old gym owner who peaked in high school and thinks sleeping with married women makes him some kind of alpha male. Not exactly intimidating. Trevor hung up. Madison was staring at me in shock. You planned all of this. I responded to what you started. You made our private business public, so I made your private business public. Fair is fair. This will ruin me. You ruined yourself. I just provided the documentation. As if on cue, Madison's phone buzzed with a notification. Then another. Then a flood of them. Her carefully constructed social media empire was crumbling in real time, and everyone was watching it happen. The underdog had bitten back, and the bite was venomous. Saturday morning brought a new level of chaos. Madison's Instagram had lost over 500 followers overnight, and the comments on her previous posts had turned savage. Her boss lady brand was in ruins, with people calling her a fraud and a hypocrite. But Trevor wasn't going quietly. He'd posted a long rant claiming I was a psychopath who had stalked and harassed him and Madison. He was trying to paint himself as the victim, the noble man who had tried to help a woman escape an abusive marriage. The problem with his narrative was the evidence. Marcia had been thorough, and the timeline was clear. The affair had started months before any marital problems became apparent. Trevor wasn't a rescuer. He was a predator who had targeted a married woman. I was having coffee on my back deck, enjoying the morning sun and the sound of my Mustang's engine cooling down from my early drive, when my neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, approached the fence. Eric? I owe you an apology. Mrs. Henderson was 72, a retired teacher who knew everyone's business in the neighborhood. She'd been one of the people congratulating Madison on her original post. No need to apologize, Mrs. Henderson. Yes, there is. I believed what I saw on social media without knowing the whole story. That was wrong of me. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was gossip and judgment. I'm old enough to know better. She paused, looking uncomfortable. I also need to tell you something. I saw that man's car in your driveway several times over the past few months, during work hours. I should have said something. It's not your responsibility to monitor my marriage. Maybe not, but we're neighbors. We should look out for each other. After she left, I called Marcia. Any new developments? Trevor's getting desperate. He's been calling around, trying to find out who hired me. He even showed up at my office yesterday, demanding to know what evidence I had. What did you tell him? Nothing. But he's scared. A man like that, his whole image is built on being the alpha, being in control. You've made him look like a fool. Good. Be careful, Mr. Lawton. Desperate people do stupid things. She was right to be concerned. That afternoon, I came home from grocery shopping to find my mailbox had been vandalized. Someone had spray-painted "Psycho" across it in red letters. I called the police to file a report, more for documentation than because I expected them to do anything about it. Officer Martinez, who responded to the call, was professional but clearly familiar with the social media drama. Any idea who might have done this? I have suspicions, but no proof. This related to that Instagram situation everyone's talking about. Possibly. Word of advice? This kind of thing usually escalates before it gets better. You might want to consider security cameras. That evening, I installed a Ring doorbell system and motion-activated cameras around the house. If Trevor wanted to play games, I'd make sure everything was recorded. Madison had been quiet all day, hiding in the bedroom, probably trying to salvage her online reputation. But around 9 p.m., she came downstairs with a suitcase. I'm staying at Jennifer's for a few days. Probably for the best. This isn't permanent, Eric. We still need to talk about our future. Our future was decided when you chose to humiliate me publicly instead of having an adult conversation about our marriage. I made a mistake. You made a series of calculated decisions over 4 months. The Instagram post was just the grand finale. She stood in the doorway looking lost. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I never meant for it to go this far. What did you think would happen? That I'd just quietly disappear? That I'd accept being the boring, replaceable husband everyone could mock? I thought you'd fight for us. I am fighting. Just not the way you expected. After she left, the house felt different. Quieter, but also lighter somehow. I poured myself a bourbon and sat on the back deck watching the sunset. My phone buzzed with a text from Trevor. "Enjoy your empty house, asshole. She's never coming back to you." I screenshot the text and forwarded it to Marcia. Evidence of harassment. Then I replied, "She can do whatever she wants. I'm done being anyone's second choice." 20 minutes later, my security cameras picked up motion in the front yard. Trevor's BMW had pulled up across the street, and he was sitting in the driver's seat, watching my house. I called the police again. "I'd like to report someone stalking my property." Officer Martinez arrived within 10 minutes. By then, Trevor had driven away, but the security footage was clear. He'd been parked there for over half an hour, just watching. "This is harassment," Officer Martinez said, reviewing the footage. "We can have a patrol car drive by more frequently, but unless he actually trespasses or threatens you directly, our options are limited." "I understand. You might want to consider a restraining order." After the officer left, I sat in my living room, thinking. Trevor was escalating, getting more aggressive. He was used to being the predator, the one in control. Having his reputation destroyed publicly had wounded his ego, and wounded egos made people dangerous. But I wasn't the same man who'd been blindsided by an Instagram post a week ago. I was learning to fight back, and I was getting good at it. My phone rang. "Lisa. How are you holding up?" "Better than expected. You?" "Worried about you. Jennifer's been posting some pretty nasty stuff, and now Trevor's making threats. Maybe you should back off, let things cool down." "Can't do that. They started this public war, and backing down now would just prove I'm the weak, replaceable husband they thought I was. Or it would prove you're the bigger person. I tried being the bigger person for 8 years. Look where it got me. Eric. I'm not backing down, Lisa. Not this time." After we hung up, I checked my security cameras one more time before bed. The street was quiet, but I had the feeling this was just the calm before the storm. Trevor had made this personal, and personal was a game I was learning to play very well. Sunday morning brought an unexpected visitor. I was washing the Mustang in my driveway, enjoying the therapeutic routine of soap and water, when Trevor's BMW pulled up to the curb. He got out slowly, trying to project confidence, but I could see the strain around his eyes. The past few days had taken their toll on him too. His gym's social media pages were flooded with negative comments, and several members had publicly canceled their memberships. "We need to talk," he said, approaching my driveway. "I don't think we do." I continued washing the car, not giving him my full attention. "This has gone far enough. You've made your point." "Have I? Because from where I'm standing, you're still the guy who helped my wife cheat and then encouraged her to humiliate me publicly." "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that. I have the text messages to prove it." Trevor's jaw tightened. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone he considered beneath him. "Madison's a grown woman. She made her own choices. She did. And so did you. And so did I. Look, I get it. You're angry. But destroying our reputations isn't going to save your marriage." I stopped washing and looked at him directly for the first time. "I'm not trying to save my marriage. I'm trying to save my dignity. By ruining us? By telling the truth. If the truth ruins you, maybe you should have made better choices." Trevor stepped closer, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was an intimidating whisper. "You don't know who you're messing with. A 40-year-old gym owner who peaked in high school? Yeah, I'm terrified." His face flushed red. You think you're so smart with your private investigator and your little social media games? Smart enough to document everything. Smart enough to stay on the right side of the law. Smart enough not to threaten people on their own property while being recorded. I nodded toward the security cameras. Trevor's eyes followed my gesture, and I saw him realize his mistake. "This isn't over," he said, backing toward his car. "Actually, it is. You're just too proud to admit it." After he left, I called Marcia to give her an update. She wasn't surprised by Trevor's visit. Men like him don't handle public humiliation well. Their whole identity is built on being dominant, being respected. You've made him look weak. Good. But be careful. He's going to try something else, probably something stupid. That afternoon, I decided to take the offensive. I'd been reactive so far, responding to their moves. Time to make a move of my own. I drove to CrossFit downtown. The parking lot was nearly empty for a Sunday afternoon, unusual for a gym that used to be packed 7 days a week. Through the windows, I could see Trevor inside with just 2 or 3 clients. I didn't go in. Instead, I parked across the street and took photos of the empty parking lot, the for lease signs in nearby businesses, the general decline of the area. Then I created a simple social media post. Consequences have a way of catching up. When you build your business on fake personas and predatory behavior, don't be surprised when people stop buying what you're selling. I tagged the location and posted it. Within an hour, it had dozens of likes and comments from people sharing their own negative experiences with Trevor's gym. Stories about overpriced memberships, inappropriate behavior toward female clients, and fake fitness credentials. The post went viral in our local community. By evening, it had been shared over 100 times, and Trevor's business was trending for all the wrong reasons. My phone rang. "Madison. What are you doing?" "Enjoying my Sunday?" "You? You're destroying Trevor's business." I posted one photo and made one comment. If that's enough to destroy his business, maybe his business wasn't very solid to begin with. People are saying horrible things about him. People are sharing their experiences. That's called accountability. He's getting death threats, Eric. That gave me pause. I hadn't intended for things to go that far. I never encouraged anyone to threaten him. That's on them, not me. You started this. No, you started this when you decided to cheat on your husband and humiliate him publicly. I'm just finishing it. Please stop. This has gone too far. Has it? Because last week you were perfectly fine with me being publicly humiliated and mocked. Now that the tables are turned, suddenly it's gone too far? Madison was quiet for a long moment. What do you want? I want you to understand what it feels like to have your life turned upside down by someone you trusted. I want you to know what it's like to be the subject of gossip and judgment. I want you to experience the consequences of your choices. I get it. I understand. I'm sorry. No, you're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your plan backfired. But you're not sorry for what you did to me. That's not true. Prove it. How? Post a public apology. Take full responsibility for the affair, for the Instagram post, for trying to humiliate me. Admit that I never abused you, never mistreated you, and that your accusations were lies meant to cover up your own behavior. I can't do that. Then we have nothing to talk about. I hung up and poured myself another bourbon. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful, peaceful even. My phone buzzed with notifications. The post about Trevor's gym was still gaining traction, and now local news outlets were picking up the story. Local gym owner's affair scandal goes viral was trending on Twitter. I hadn't set out to destroy anyone's business or reputation. I just wanted to defend myself against public humiliation. But actions have consequences, and Trevor and Madison were learning that lesson the hard way. My security cameras chimed with an alert. A car had pulled up outside, but it wasn't Trevor's BMW this time. It was a police cruiser. Officer Martinez got out and approached my door. I met him on the front porch. Evening, Mr. Lawton. We've had some complaints about online harassment. From who? Trevor Daniels. He claims you're using social media to incite violence against him. I showed Officer Martinez my phone, scrolling through my posts. I've made 3 posts total, all factual, all about my own situation. I haven't encouraged anyone to threaten or harass anyone. He says people are showing up at his gym, confronting him. That's not my fault or my responsibility. I can't control what other people do with public information. Officer Martinez reviewed my posts carefully. These do seem pretty tame. You're not directly encouraging harassment. I'm not encouraging anything except people knowing the truth about what happened. Well, legally, you're probably in the clear. But practically speaking, this situation is escalating. Someone's going to get hurt if it keeps going. I agree. Trevor should probably stop making threats and stalking my house. Fair point. Officer Martinez closed his notepad. Just be careful, okay? This kind of thing can spiral out of control fast. After he left, I sat on my front porch thinking. The officer was right. Things were escalating. But I hadn't started this war, and I wasn't about to surrender just when I was winning. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw your post about the gym. Trevor Daniels tried to sleep with my wife too, last year. I have screenshots if you want them. Then another. That guy's been running scams for years. Fake certifications, overcharging seniors. About time someone called him out. And another. Madison Lawton tried to steal my business idea for her Instagram. She's not the victim here. The truth was coming out, and it was uglier than I'd imagined. Trevor and Madison hadn't just betrayed me, they'd been hurting people for years. I'd just given their victims a voice. I wasn't destroying their reputations. I was revealing who they really were, and I was just getting started. Monday morning brought the kind of chaos that makes local news. Trevor's gym had been vandalized overnight, not by me, but by someone who'd taken the social media revelations personally. Predator was spray-painted across the front windows, and several more people had come forward with stories about his inappropriate behavior. I was at work when Darren showed me the local news website. Dude, this is getting intense. I didn't vandalize anything. I know you didn't. But you started something that's taken on a life of its own. He was right. What had begun as my response to public humiliation had become a community reckoning with 2 people who'd been hurting others for years. The stories kept coming. Women Trevor had harassed, businesses Madison had tried to sabotage, lies they'd both told to cover their tracks. My phone rang. Marcia. We need to meet. Today. I've got something you need to see. More evidence? Evidence that they're planning something stupid. I met Marcia at a coffee shop downtown during my lunch break. She had a tablet with her, and her expression was grim. I've been monitoring their communications like you asked. They're panicking. She showed me screenshots of text messages between Madison and Trevor from that morning. They were planning to break into my house to steal back the evidence I had on them. They think if they can get the photos and documents, they can claim everything was fabricated, Marcia explained. That's incredibly stupid. Desperate people do stupid things. They're planning to do it tonight while you're at work. I'm not working tonight. They don't know that. Madison thinks you have a late shift at the warehouse. I studied the messages. Trevor was convinced he could break in without triggering the security system. Madison was worried about getting caught, but Trevor was pushing her, saying it was their only option. What do you want to do? Marcia asked. Give them what they want. What do you mean? Let them break in. Document everything. Then press charges for burglary. That's risky. What if they get violent? They won't. Trevor's all bluster, and Madison's too scared. But just to be safe, I'll have backup. That evening, I called Lisa and asked her to come over. I also called Officer Martinez and explained the situation. He agreed to have a patrol car nearby, ready to respond quickly if needed. You sure about this? Lisa asked as we watched the security monitor feeds from my home office. They've made their choice. I'm just giving them the opportunity to follow through. At 11:47 p.m., Trevor's BMW pulled up 2 blocks away. The security cameras picked up 2 figures approaching through the backyard, trying to stay out of sight of the street-facing cameras. They'd done their homework, but not well enough. My system had cameras covering every angle, including the back door they thought was a blind spot. I watched on the monitor as Trevor used a crowbar to force open the back door. The silent alarm immediately notified my phone and the security company, but I'd told them to wait for my signal before calling the police. Madison followed Trevor into the house, both of them using phone flashlights to navigate. They went straight to my home office, looking for the evidence files. "This is it," I told Lisa, calling Officer Martinez. "They're inside." Within 3 minutes, police cars surrounded the house. Trevor and Madison were caught red-handed in my office, going through my filing cabinets. The arrest was almost anticlimactic. Trevor tried to run but tripped over my desk chair. Madison just stood there crying, finally understanding that her choices had consequences. Officer Martinez read them their rights while I provided the security footage showing the break-in. Breaking and entering, burglary, criminal trespass, the charges were serious. "Why did you let them do it?" Officer Martinez asked me privately while his colleagues processed the scene. "Because sometimes people need to see who someone really is." Madison spent months planning to humiliate me publicly. Trevor encouraged her, thinking I was too weak to fight back. They needed to learn that actions have consequences. "You could have just called us when you found out about their plan. And what would you have done?" They hadn't committed a crime yet. This way, there's no ambiguity about who they really are. The local news picked up the story by morning. "Instagram affair, couple arrested for burglary" was the headline that finally ended the saga. The security footage of their break-in attempt went viral, showing Trevor stumbling over furniture and Madison crying as they were arrested. The public sympathy that Madison had been trying to rebuild evaporated overnight. You can spin an affair as a mistake, even spin public humiliation as emotional distress, but you can't spin breaking into someone's house as anything other than criminal behavior. Trevor's gym closed permanently the following week. Madison's influencer career was over, her sponsors dropping her en masse. Jennifer tried to defend her sister on social media, but even their family was done with the drama. 2 weeks later, Madison came to the house to collect her belongings. She looked different, smaller somehow, deflated. "I know you'll never forgive me," she said as she packed the last of her clothes. "You're right. I won't. I never meant for any of this to happen." "Yes, you did. You meant for me to be humiliated and pushed aside so you could start over with Trevor. You just didn't expect me to fight back. I underestimated you. Everyone did. That was your mistake." She paused at the door. "What happens now?" "Now you live with the consequences of your choices, just like I had to live with them. Will you be okay?" I looked around the house, my house now, peaceful and quiet. The Mustang was in the driveway, gleaming in the afternoon sun. My reputation was intact, stronger even than before. I'd proven that the quiet, boring husband wasn't as replaceable as everyone thought. I'll be fine. Better than fine, actually. I'm sorry, Eric. For all of it. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught, sorry your plan failed, sorry you're facing consequences, but you're not sorry for what you did to me. If you could go back and do it again without getting caught, you would. She didn't deny it because we both knew it was true. After she left, I sat on my back deck with a bourbon watching the sunset. My phone had been quiet for days. No more social media drama, no more threats, no more chaos. Just peace. The passenger seat of my Mustang was still empty, and I was perfectly fine with that. Some rides are better solo. I'd learned something important over the past month. Still waters don't just run deep. Sometimes they run strong enough to sweep away anyone foolish enough to underestimate them. Madison had been right about one thing in her original post. Men are replaceable. But so are cheating wives who think they can humiliate their husbands without consequences. I raised my glass to the sunset and smiled. The game was over, and I'd won.